So if you were a West Ham fan between February 97 and January 99, there was likely one name on your lips, that of our next guest. 73 appearances, 33 goals, with 24 of those goals in 42 games in the 97-98 season. Welcome to the show, to your debut, Super Johnny Hartson.
Good evening, guys. Thanks very much. Nice intro, that.
To those, we consistently get the stats ever so slightly wrong. Do they sound right?
I think that was right, yeah. I think so.
Wow.
33 and 71, I think. Did you say 71 or 73?
Well, I said 73. 33 goals.
Okay. There might have been 2 substitute appearances.
Well, it's quite funny, actually, because I work with an Arsenal fan, a Wimbledon fan, and a Celtic fan, and it seems like every fan of every club you play for seems to love you. And I'd say even West Ham especially, certainly everyone I speak to. I mean, what do you put that down to? Why do you think like, all the clubs you play for, everyone seems to love you so much?
Well, it didn't always seem that way, if I'm honest with you. Throughout my career, you have good times and you have bad times, but the one thing that I always gave, was 100%. And, I was very privileged to have had the career that I had and to have played with the players that I did. And if I'm being totally honest with myself, and if I'd have really knuckled down and if I'd have sort of bought into maybe the training methods and, and maybe looked after myself a little bit more, physical, I was in decent shape, but I just feel as if there were times where, I maybe chose to go and have a few beers, where I might have chose to a bottle of water or something like that. And, but at that particular time, you act the way that you do, because, that's what you feel is right at the time. But I feel I probably could have gone on and achieved even bigger things in football if I had just tuned in slightly to the diet side of the game. Maybe the likes of the Rio Ferdinands and the Frank Lampards, you look at the careers that they have had, that is mainly because of their attitude and the way that they've adjusted their diet and their fitness. And ability-wise, I was right up there. I had lots of talent. I had good feet. I was good in the air. I was aggressive. I could play the game. I knew the game. I mastered the role of being a number 9, if you like. And, that is not sounding big-headed. That is me, what most people will tell you, that John Hartson was a very good football player. But if I tuned in, as I said, like one or two other professionals have done, maybe I could have gone on to the Uniteds or played abroad because, I possessed the ability, the natural ability, which a lot of footballers don't have. They actually work hard at. But I was born with a gift, I believe, and sometimes I maybe took that gift for granted.
Well, you were at Arsenal when you signed for West Ham, and Arsene Wenger, I understand, he had like very kind of strict regime. Did you work well with that regime?
Yes, I did, yeah. And if you look at me, when I was 19, 20, 21, I was in great shape, I was in good physical shape. But there was a bit of a drinking culture when I went to Arsenal, where you had Tony Adams who came out publicly and admitted he was an alcoholic. And I think Tony's been clean ever since. And obviously you had Paul Merson that checked himself into a priory. So Paul came back into the training at that particular time when I joined, and it was all Paul had a counsellor with him on a daily basis, sat next to him on the bus travelling to away games. So it tended to basically stop when I went to Arsenal. Maybe if I joined Arsenal a year prior, when the boys were full blast, I might have ended up in the priory with Paul Merson. But, the fact was, Arsene Wenger came in and he changed it all around, and he would take a stretch in, and, after games, after training sessions, he would sit in the middle, and we'd all sit around him, and he'd go through, the repertoire of, from the feet right the way up, to the shoulders, and he would sit there and and if you look at the likes of, or even talk to the likes of Wrighty and the skipper and Merson and these guys, and Lee Dixon, they will admittedly tell you that Arsene Wenger put 2 or 3 years on these players' careers because they tuned into that side of it. And I think Wenger, we have a lot to thank Arsene Wenger for, because he was one of the first foreign coaches to have come into the English game, the Premier League, and he changed quite a lot in terms of the diet and in terms of, the players warming up and warming down. And I think that was mainly, one of the biggest things that Arsene Wenger needs to be, we need to be thankful for Wenger for.
Yeah. Well, in February 1997, you went from Arsene Wenger to Harry Redknapp. He comes knocking. Was West Ham a tough sell? Did he really have to sell it into you?
Well, I wanted to play, you see, and the thing was at Arsenal, I was doing okay, and Wenger put me and Whitey up top a few times with Dennis Bergkamp, just sort of in that number 10 role in behind us, and then I think the start of the 97 on. Towards the end of 96, I think Whitey and Dennis started to play together more often, and they formed this unbelievable partnership, and I found myself, it was a lot more difficult to break in then, because Whitey and Dennis were leading the Premier League charts in terms of the goals, and their partnership was fantastic, and they were arguably two of the best in the world at that particular time. You had Dennis Bergkamp, number 9 for Holland, and Whitey was the England number 9 at the time, so it wasn't a shame to be out the team behind them two, and Wenger actually wanted me to stay and work and learn off these guys, but I had Harry Redknapp on the phone. Harry can be quite persistent when he wants something, and he was saying to me, "Look, John, you'll be perfect for us. We get plenty of balls in the box to you." He says, "I'm signing another striker tomorrow," which I didn't know it was going to be Paul Kitson. He says, we'll play around you. He says, "I'll build my team around you." He says, "You're perfect for us." I was 21, I was hungry, I was young, I had plenty of spunk, I had plenty of energy. I just wanted to go and play. And with hindsight, I could have stayed at Arsenal, picked up great wages. I think Arsenal did the double in 1998 under Wenger. So obviously I'd swapped that sort of period to go and play at West Ham, which to my credit, I wanted to play. I think you train all week to play on a weekend. And I wasn't prepared to sit on the bench, and so I went and played, and I had a fantastic time early on at West Ham. Myself and Paul Kitson, along with the other guys. We had a great end to the season where we kept West Ham in the Premier League, and then my next season was my highest tally in the Premier League, 24 goals. I think it was 15 Premier League goals and 9 cup goals. So I had a great time initially at West Ham.
But when you first joined in February 97, obviously West Ham were in a relegation scrap. How confident were you that they had enough to stay up?
I wasn't, if I'm being honest. I was joining West Ham. I was signing a 4.5-year contract, and I never thought much of the relegation situation, to be honest. I just went in there, did my best. Initially, we started out, me and Kits, and we had a great understanding. We scored goals. I remember we went up to Leicester and we won midweek, and we beat Tottenham at home, which was a big game on my home debut, 4-3. Dixie smashing in a penalty right in the last minute. We went to Coventry and won. We went to Leicester and won. We beat Sheffield Wednesday 5-3 at home. I think Pitt scored a hat-trick. So we hit it off straight away, and we slowly started climbing the table, and we avoided relegation, which was fantastic. But initially, I don't think I really gave it much thought. I was just concentrating on getting in the side, scoring goals, playing every game, training every day, and just becoming part of West Ham, and just putting that cloud and blue shirt on, number 10 on my back. And I felt at home. I was made to feel at home. Harry Redknapp made me feel I was important to the team. I wasn't sort of next one in. I wasn't waiting for somebody else to get injured or to get my chance. I was straight in the team, and I hit it off with Kits, and I started scoring goals, and the rest is history, as I say.
Yeah, I mean, your signing with Paul Kitson is often kind of used as the template for a great bunch of signings that save a season. But with Paul Kitson, was it just that you clicked together, like your playing styles were just really well matched?
Yeah, I think so. I think, we were both quite intelligent. Paul was very good at going and facing the play, whereas at Arsenal I was doing a lot of that myself. But whereas at West Ham now I've got somebody that will also do that. So all the pressure wasn't particularly on me when the midfielders are breaking with the ball. It was always me that was going to the edge of the box to try and face the play to give them like a target to hit. Whereas Paul was very good at that as well. Whereas at Arsenal, I was sort of the sidekick to Ian Wright or Dennis Bergkamp, and I'd be doing the sort of donkey work, taking a couple of defenders out the way to play them in type of thing. But Kits was very good at that as well. He was ever so strong. He had an eye for goal. He played for a big club before in Newcastle, played with the likes, under Kevin Keegan and these type of characters. So he was very good. He was better than what I give him credit for. I'd only seen him for a little bit at Derby County, scoring some goals. I didn't think he was as good as what he actually turned out to be, and he was a fantastic player to have alongside you. He would do the donkey work as well. He was physical, he could run, he was quick, and more than most, he could get goals as well. He was a great goal scorer.
So we stayed up that in your first kind of season. Then in the second season, we ended up finished 8th. So I mean, what changed over that summer to go from this team fighting relegation to just being one of the top teams in the Premiership?
Well, we had a really good side. We were quite settled, and if you look at the midfield players that we had, we had little Al Berkovic, who I've no doubt that you'll go on to and want to get my comments on that, which is no problem. Al Berkovic was a fantastic little footballer. He made a lot of my goals. He was very unselfish, and you had young Frank Lampard coming through. You had young Rio. You had young Joe Cole. We had Ludo McCloskey, he was a fantastic goalkeeper, very vastly experienced. Our fullbacks were Dixie and Timmy Breaker at the back. We had Potsy coming with Rio. We had a player called Richard Hall, who was like head on a stick. He was fantastic in the air. And the wingers, we had Stan Lazaridis who crossed the ball. We had Trevor Sinclair. Middle of the park, you had Bish, Lomas, myself, Kits, and we had a good side, and we had great team spirit as well. That was the one thing at West Ham. We'd all go for a bit of lunch together, and we'd all play golf together. John Moncur, John would get us on at Nazing, where his brother was a pro. And I was happy. I was happy in my home life. I was settled in Hertfordshire, in Brooklands Park, with a young family, and I'd meet up with Ian Dowie every morning, and we'd come in over Faden Boys and, over Haynorth there and Haynorth Forest, and then we'd come down, dip into the training ground, and it was a really good period. I loved it at West Ham, and it was a shame in the end, when I left, the way it happened, because I had a 7-year contract at West Ham. People don't realise I had 5 years left to run. Harry'd give me a new deal, and I don't know how much of it he took himself, but he certainly gave me a new deal.
Well, you've touched on it there. Like, there was an epic bunch of characters in the team when you were there, including yourself. If I drop you a few names, can you tell me what they were like as kind of characters in the dressing room?
Yeah, of course I can. I'll do my best.
Okay, so firstly, Julian Dix.
Dixie was great. Physical. No nonsense, loved by the West Ham fans, a real sort of fans' favourite. Probably the only West Ham player that I'd seen never to get booed by the chicken run. They absolutely loved him. And I think there was a game where Dixie got sent off just before half time. And we've gone into the dressing room with a goal down. And we've come out for the second half, and the away crowd, are singing his name. There's only one Julian Dixon, and Harry's looking around thinking, well, what can I do to that, Because he really was, he could have done anything. Yeah. He could have, he could have done anything, and the West Ham fans would have applauded. He's a real favourite. And it's a bit of a shame that he's not working at the club in any capacity. I'd love to see Jules back at West Ham,
Absolutely. Tim Breaker?
Tim, again, somebody who I knew from Luton. I came through the ranks at Luton as a teenager, coming up during the school holidays, and it was Luton that I joined as an apprentice at 16, coming up from Swansea in Wales. Tim was in the first team, so I got to know Tim a little bit. Obviously, I knew about him, knew about his character. He knew me. Good full-back, very reliable, good engine. Good delivery, he used to put a few crosses in from that right side, up and down all day long. He'd work really well with Trevor Sinclair. And a great guy, but really quiet, but a good sense of humour. Just a real good character, Tim Breaker. I liked him a lot,
Trevor Sinclair?
Trev, just a ball of fun, really, a bundle of fun, always laughing, always cracking jokes. A bit of a London boy, back and forth into London and the clubs, and quick, always had a different hairdo, and good ability, a good trainer, fantastic ability actually, Trev.
Yeah.
He had so many things up his sleeve in terms of tricks and everything else. But a great lad, always smiling, reminding me similar to Ian Wright, at Arsenal, and always bubbly in the morning, never comes in grumpy or you know, you hear Trev before you see him, like, you know.
Yeah.
But he's a real mixer, really nice lad, and good ability as well, fantastic ability.
Just a couple more. Firstly, Samasi Abu.
Yeah, Samasi Abu, again, somebody who I sort of struck up a decent partnership with, you know, when Kits had 1 or 2 injuries. He was okay, Samasi. I think he felt a little bit in my shadow, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, I'd been the goal scorer, and he'd come into the side, and we weren't as successful as myself and Kitson, obviously. But he was decent, you know. He was a decent player. He was strong. You know, he never got that many goals, but you know, I've got to say, he was a nice enough lad. I'm not going to hang him out to dry. I've got nothing on him. I've never really been out with him, this, that, or the other. So, but he was okay. He was okay. He wasn't the most gifted of players in the world, but he was strong. He went in there, he tried his heart out. Yeah. You know, and he was a nice kid, was Samasi, you know.
How about John Moncur? We've heard a few John Moncur stories. I think Ian Bishop gave us one a couple of weeks ago. Apparently he was called the Maggot. Can you shed any more light on this, John?
Well, have a guess. The Maggot. You know. How he produced 4 kids, I'll never know. But he was all right, Monk. He was all right. He was a bit mental, you know, but in good spirits. You know, he was the type of lad that he would just do anything to make the lads laugh, would John. You know, he was a real sort of joker in the pack, really. And, you know, there'd be days when it'd be freezing cold. It'd be like December the 28th. You know, there'd be like sort of foot of snow at Chadwell Heath. All the lads have got their gloves and their hats and scarves on, and their big jackets would all run out to training. And Monks would he'd run out behind us about 10 minutes later with a little Father Christmas around his old boy. He'd have been stripped down to the bone. He'd have his boots and his socks down to his ankles and nothing else on. And he would just run towards us and sort of dive in the snow, you know. He was just mental, Monks. I'd give him a drink and he was even worse. But I've got to say, I think he's sort of got his life together a little bit now, John, and I think he's, you know, he's gone all sensible, which is great for him if that's what he needed to do. But again, great fun, great value, and and there was loads. There was a young lad coming through, Frank and Rio, and then you had Ian Dowie, who thought he was like sort of brain of Britain, you know, down there. And you had Bish. You didn't want to be left with Bish, just you two in the boozer with Bish. He just wouldn't ever let you go. Bish just didn't know when to go home.
Really?
You know, it's one of them. You tell him you're going to the toilet, and then he would like slope away from you, you know. But he was a great lad as well. Bish was a great lad, but good spirit, really was. I've got really good memories of, you know, of having a crack with the boys, and more than anything else, we were a really good side. You know, we beat a lot of good sides at Upton Park under the lights, you know.
Yeah. I mean, so you scored 24 goals in that, I think, your second season, but in the following season, things didn't go quite as well. Why did it start unravelling?
Well, to be honest, I came back overweight. Didn't really come back as fit as I should have done for pre-season. And I give myself a bit of a mountain to climb, really. I don't know whether I sort of rested on my laurels a little bit from the season before. Maybe I took it for granted that my place was just going to be automatic. I think I finished 1 goal behind Michael Owen for the Golden Boot. Yeah. The 24 goals here I scored. And I was absolutely on fire. Although I didn't finish the season well, I can remember I had a 4-game ban, which probably could have took us into Europe if I hadn't been banned. But you know, a lot of things happened to me, guys, when I was younger, which is a bit of a blur, to be honest, you know. Since I've played finishing football, since I've finished playing, you know, I've sort of, you know, I'm a father, and I've changed, and I'm clean, I don't gamble, and I've got kids, I live in Wales, I've got a beautiful wife, and I'm working on the television and lots in the media, and when you're a footballer, you're in this bit of a bubble, and, you know, there were times that I thought to myself, you know, is this really happening to me? And so maybe I took things for granted. Maybe if I'd had my career over again, which I don't think I'd want it, because, you know, you act at the time, you know, you make your bed, you know, and, you know, you lay in your bed, and what's the saying, is it? You make your bed, you lay in it.
You lie in it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, well, there was times in my career where, I thought to myself, look at the career that I had. Arsenal at 19. I'm from a council estate in Swansea, so a lot of people would struggle to cope with that. Arsenal at 19, it was a British record for a teenager. West Ham smashed their transfer record. Wimbledon smashed their transfer record. I'm 23 years of age. I've broken 3 clubs' transfer records, and I'm still only 23. So it's £15 million, whatever the 3 transfer added up to. So there's lots of times, I probably took for granted that where I was in my life and what I was actually doing, and I was a Premier League star. I didn't really realise, how famous I'd become overnight, and I tried to just sit in the pub with the lads. I'd go for lunch with the boys, and maybe if I sort of put that to one side and really appreciated where I was and what I was doing. But I always remained, I wanted to be one of the lads. I wanted to be same as the boys at home that I'd left behind. So maybe I took it for granted. The second season at West Ham, I came back overweight. I never really had a good start. But as the season got on, it got tougher and tougher, to be honest. I think there was high expectations of me. I never lived up to them expectations. I think we went out to Northampton in the League Cup. And then we lost to Swansea, I think it was, in the FA Cup, which was my hometown. And obviously in between that, I'd had the training ground bust up with Al Berkovic, which I regretted. And I still regret to this day. It's one of them incidents where I should never have done it. But I'm not, I'm holding my hands up, and I'm not trying to make excuses for what happened. I took the ban, I took the punishment, I took all the media criticism, and I held my hands up and I said it was wrong. I should never have reacted the way that I did. There was no particular reason for doing it. It was nothing to do with Al Berkovic. It could have been John Moncur, it could have been Rio Ferdinand, it could have been Joe Cole. There was nothing to do with the player. It was just that particular morning it happened. There was a camera there, and it was caught on camera, and then the whole world sort of got to see it. Yeah. And, the rest, as they say, is, I dealt with what I had to deal with, but I deeply regretted the incident. And from then, I struggled to recapture any type of form towards the end of the season. And I think in the January, Joe Kinnear came in with a huge lump sum of money. It was 7.5 million, where you paid 3.5 or 3.2. So I'd scored a few goals for you. You were doubling your money in terms of the transfer fee, more than doubling your money. And I think out of that money, you went and bought Canio, Mark Vivian Foe, God rest his soul, and Scott Minto. So you replaced me with 3 players. I went off to Wimbledon with great memories. My sort of head between my knees in a way that I'd embarrassed myself, embarrassed my family, in terms of what I'd done with Al Berkovic. And it was just one of them things. And then that's basically my West Ham career. I think I spent 20 months there. Sort of 18 months of them were very good. Yeah. Great memories. I scored goals. I got on great with the lads. We had good spirit. And it just goes to show, your life can change sort of with a blink of an eye, really. And within 2 months, we'd gone out to both cups. I wasn't performing great. I'd had that embarrassment of the training ground incident, which was shown all over the world and repeated. I'd been totally, wrecked in the newspapers. Front page, this was front page stuff. It wasn't back page, it was front page. Wow. It was on News at 10, it was everywhere. So within that 2 months, it had all gone from sort of hero to zero. But the one thing from West Ham's point of view was that they got great money for me. And I went to Wimbledon, and as I said, but my memories at West Ham, 95% of them are fantastic. Great club, and I always get a great reception when I go back there.
Absolutely, yeah. Just the one question I'll ask on that Isle thing is, how common an incident was that thing? Was it just that it was captured on camera? Is it the sort of thing that happens once a month, or was it unique?
No, it happens all the time. Yeah. To that may be ferociousness. I'm not saying people kick people in the face, every day in training. I don't think that happens. But there are fights, there are punch-ups, there are people grappling each other by the throat. People will get punched in the face. People will get two-footed in tackles. I played for Wimbledon and I played at Arsenal, where tempers get out of hand, in training. And if there were cameras there on the side of the pitch, like there was with me at West Ham, then there would be a lot more incidents reported and a lot more players. brought to justice, if you like, for their actions, but they're not. They're hidden. They're put away. You look at the guy at Southampton.
Yeah.
The lads who's just been sacked.
Yeah.
What's his name? The centre forward.
What is his name? I can't remember.
his name.
No.
Alves?
No, it wasn't. He came over. I think he was £12 million.
It was their record signing, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was reported incident that he'd headbutted somebody. Now, if that's caught on camera,
then
that's front pages.
Yeah, sure.
That's not. That slipped under the radar, if you like. He got sacked. I think he now plays for Juventus, so he's gone somewhere. Yeah. So, but I'm not condoning what I did. I've held my hands up. I've took it on the chin. But if similar things happen. And the problem was with me. It was caught by Sky Sports.
Yeah.
And then like Bosch, it was all out there, and everybody sort of had their piece. And it was one of them things. It's something that I've had to carry around with me, for the last 20 years, really, 18, 20 years. Nobody wants to talk about the 33 goals in 71 games, and how I kept West Ham up single-handedly on my own.
We do, John. We haven't forgotten.
Yeah, but nobody wants. I know what he's saying, but people will go, "What happened to Bergovich? What happened there?" But people but that's what it's like, and I've had to deal with that, and I'm fine about it. I'll explain like everybody else. I'm sorry it happened. It was. It was a regrettable incident, but it does happen. But as I said, to the extent of, how violent that looked type of thing and how violent it was, I wouldn't say that happens every day, but there are incidents. There are lots of incidents. I've been involved in football clubs and things where it has kicked off. But obviously no cameras. It doesn't even get out there in the media, does it?
Yeah, absolutely. No. So I mean, you went on to have a great career after West Ham. Of course, you went to Wimbledon, Coventry, and of course a long period at Celtic. But I wondered, where does West Ham sit in your whole? When you look back now over your whole career, in terms of like the happiest you were, where does West Ham sit in your thoughts?
It's right up there, boys. I've got to be honest. It's right up there because people often say to me, "What's the best club you played for?" And I went to Arsenal at 19. It was a great experience walking into that dressing room with the England back four and playing with the England striker at 19 years of age, and the likes of Bergkamp and Merson and Parler and Merson, they were fantastic players. And then coming to West Ham was great because I held my own. I held my own in the Premier League as a 21-year-old, banging in goals, starring in games, scoring winning goals, being that number 9 for West Ham, the likes of Tony Cottee, Jeff Hurst, these great number 9s down the years that I played for West Ham. So I held my own there, but it's a shame I didn't do it for a longer period. But no, great supporters, got on really well, had a fantastic rapport with them. And then I went on, Celtic was brilliant for me. I scored over 100 goals for Celtic in 5 years. Played with Larson, played with Lennon, Sutton, Thompson, played in Europe, played in the Champions League, and great grounds. And then I went on, obviously, had a wonderful career for my country, Wales, as well. Had over 50 caps for Wales, playing with the likes of the Giggses and the Speeds and the Rushes and the Bellamys and the like. So, but West Ham is right up there. I've got really good, fond memories of West Ham. That incident with Al Berkovich sort of blighted that little spell that I had there because it was something that I brought on myself. I'm not blaming anybody else, not even blaming the cameras. It was me that done it, and I take full responsibility for my actions. But as I said, West Ham is right up there, for that sort of 15, 16 months, that period that I got goals and I was in a great place, great lads, good spirit, top manager in Harry. Was the happiest I've been in my career, I have to say that.
Amazing. Well, we're looking forward to the future now with West Ham. One question, are we going to stay in the Premier League this season?
I didn't think so. 6 weeks ago. I thought you were in real big trouble. I've been at a few of your games this season. I was at the Arsenal home game and I watched you draw at Swansea. I think it was a 0-0.
Yeah, it was.
And I just thought you didn't have that threat going forward. Kevin Nolan was obviously missing his big pal, Andy Carroll. Andy's come back and he just gives you a different dimension. People were talking about the West Ham long ball. They don't mind. Fans don't mind you hit them long ball now because you've got an end product. If it's a good quality ball into the front man, Andy Carroll's getting a 1-2-3 and he's unplayable. He's very much like Duncan Ferguson. You just cannot cope with him. So that's the way Sam wants to go. whether the fans are still with him. I'm sure they've changed their tone slightly because you've climbed the league a little bit. But I didn't think so. 6 weeks ago, I thought you were bang in trouble. I thought West Ham, for me, they can't win a game. They can't score a goal. All right, keeping clean sheets here and there. Defending okay, but no threat. Goals win your games. And for them 4 wins that you've had, I think you're out of danger. And I think credit to Sam, credit to Andy Carroll, who's come back and give the team a massive lift. Credit to Nolan, who's responded well from his 2 sending-offs. He's actually acted like a captain. He's stood up to the plate, and he's done well. He got goals for you. So I wouldn't have thought it a month ago. I think you're out of trouble now, and I think you're safe, more than safe now.
Excellent. Great stuff, John. Well, I mean, certainly as West Ham fans, I don't remember you for that Eyal Berkovic kick. I remember you for all those great goals and, nearly becoming top scorer in the Premier League and all those great nights down Upton Park under the lights, including your days. Yeah, only good memories. And so thank you for all those memories.
Boys.
John, you're a proper star. It's an honour to speak to you.
Absolutely.
Take care, boys. All the best. Good luck with everything.
Thanks again.
See you, chap.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.